Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm gonna try to attempt to repair the advanced keyless entry. After I purchased the car, I didn't even realize it was missing, and so in the interim I've stuck a little black eraser, kind of jammed it in there. I'll show you what it looks like, what it's supposed to look like that, but I guess it got removed somehow. So let me show you guys the replacement part. So here it is. You can see the replacement nubs. I don't know if this existed a couple years ago, but I saw it on Amazon and thought, hey, why not? What's the worst that could happen? So the first step I need to do is I need to remove this door panel. So I'm gonna get started. So these are some of the tools I think I'm gonna need. Got a Phillips, flathead, a couple of plastic pry bar tools. So I think the first step, so it looks like the first step is going to be to remove that, looks like there's a cover right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that off here. I ended up using a flathead screwdriver and just kind of pried it out. Pretty easy. The next step is going to be to remove the screws. I think there's a screw in here, so I'm going to work on that. So I was able to pry it off. I watched another video and it said start at the bottom, but for me, I actually ended up scratching it a little right there when a screwdriver stripped. So I ended up actually getting it from the top, and I just pulled away and it came off slowly. So the next step is going to be, there are some screws. I think there's 3 of them. I believe there's one in the cup holder. So I'm going to work on that. You can see that is the one in the cup holder right there. Okay, so the screws are out. The one on the far right was the one I pulled out of the cup holder. The one in the middle is the one that was on the handle, and the one on the far left is the one that was on the door handle to open and close the door. So the next step is going to be to pry off the door card here. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that. Okay, so I went ahead and pried it starting from the bottom. I did hear some plastic stuff, and I don't know if that's a clip or not, but yeah, I don't know if there was any easy way to do that. I just kind of slowly pried from the bottom edges and then lifted up a little. And now at this point I went ahead and disconnected the battery, because I'm going to have to disconnect these connectors. I'm not sure if it's necessary to disconnect the battery, but better to be safe than sorry, I guess. So I believe there's 3 or 4 connectors in here that'll allow me to separate the door card from the door. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so the door panel is off right now. I went ahead and unclipped, I think, about 4 connectors, and then I just pulled this part out and then slid it through the door card, so I didn't want to mess with any of that yet. Okay, so then the next step is going to be to remove all these bolts so I can take this plastic liner off. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that now. Okay, that was definitely a pain. The key, what I had to do was I had to remove some of the screws right here to this thing right here, and then I was able to slide above, but you can see I broke most of these clips. I don't know if there was, I don't exactly know how to pull it off without breaking them. Same with the outer door card, but it is what it is. But I can now finally see the handle up there, so I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to unscrew it now. So I finally got the door handle out, and the way to remove it, that little metal rod right there is the lock mechanism, and it just pushes out of this little white part right there. And then what you do is you just open the handle, and then it just came right out. So now I'm gonna go ahead and work on replacing the button. Notice 3 screws. I'm gonna go ahead and remove them and see what's underneath. And after the 3 screws, the handle is out, and you can see the button here. Now I'm going to try using this kit and see how it comes off. So I went ahead and used an X-Acto knife, and I cut along the edges as much as I could. There were no instructions, but I can only assume that's what it wanted to say, and I'm going to try the glue that came with it, and hopefully it turns out. So I went ahead and put the glue on, and it looks like it looks good so far. Hopefully it'll fit in the button. Okay, the handle is in here. Looks good. To put the hook, I had to struggle with this to get the lock perfect. What I had to do was, the lock cylinder is actually bolted in place by the screw, which also goes into the left side of the handle. So I just had to hold it by hand and then put it in there. So it's looks like it's secure. It looks pretty even to me. Now the next step is going to be to get the door panel on. It is now 8:30 at night, and man, it's a lot longer than expected. It took me about 3 hours, and it was because some of the clips had bent, and it wasn't allowing the door to close fully. I also, one of the advanced keyless entry, I think, sensors was put in backwards, so I figured that out. And then, yeah, the clips, we had 4 clips that were broken. But the job is done. It looks so much nicer. And now when you push it, it locks, it unlocks, opens. So that's really all I wanted out of this. One thing I will say, there were a couple scary moments I didn't film. When I was taking apart the door and putting it back together, the locks kept it kept trying to lock itself, and the interior handle wasn't showing a fully open position, so I had to redo everything. And I don't know what it was, but I eventually got that figured out. So yeah, I would say this is pretty difficult. I didn't think it was going to be difficult, but in the end of the day, I think it looked ugly, and I'm glad I did it. So thank you and have a good night.